All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lee, and with my wife Betty, we are the traveling expats showing you about life in Germany and traveling in Germany and beyond. And I wanted to follow up today with a video we made a few months ago, and that is about the process for requesting and getting approved for residency in Germany if you're coming from a foreign country. Now, we've had several emails, people asking us about the process and asking for updates on this. And so finally, we have some news to share with you, right? So we came back to Germany. So just, I guess, a quick recap. We lived in Germany. We lived in Leipzig in Saxony, and we lived there for 2 years. We worked there, and then about a year and a half ago, we resigned our jobs and we moved back to the United States. We lived in the United States for about a year, and then we really kind of missed Germany. So we came back to Germany and we decided that we were going to request residency, this time as retired people. And so you can see that video where you can see kind of the process of the documents we had to provide and things like that, right? So we moved back to Germany. I believe it was the very last day of October of 2024. And then a week later or a few days later, we registered with our local administrative office, registered our residence. And then a few days after that, we actually put in the request for residency in Germany. And that was early November of 2024 when we submitted that request. So a couple months went by, and so we were here, just as a tourist. And if you come from the United States to Germany as a tourist, basically you can stay here for 90 days. And that's not just Germany, that's anywhere in the European Union or in the Schengen zone, as it's called. So basically, most of the countries of the European Union, matter of fact, they may all be in the Schengen zone now, because I believe Bulgaria and Romania entered the Schengen zone the first of this year. So anyway, so 90 days you can stay in the Schengen zone, and then you have to leave for 90 days before you can come back. Okay, so we requested residency like the second week of November. And a couple months went by, and we had not heard anything from anyone from the Ausländerbehörde. So kind of curious. So, had like a month left. And so I sent, or I think less than a month left. So I sent an email to the office and asked if they had any information for us. And they said that our packets, our documents had been kind of lost in the stress of the end of the year, and they were misplaced, but they had found them, and then they were going to work on our packets. But to ensure that we didn't, that our 90 days didn't expire, we made an appointment, and we went into the Ausländerbehörde, the Foreign Administrative Office, and basically got an extension on our tourist visa. And at that point, we submitted our passport photos for our residency card, and we were fingerprinted and paid, I think it was 15 euros a piece. We paid to get our extension of our tourist visa, if you will. Right, so that was, that was the second week of January or somewhere along those lines. And, the guy told us at the office, he said, hey, this shouldn't take too much longer. He said, if it takes 5 weeks, he goes, I'll make some phone calls to the main office. So basically we go to a small office here near our village, and they send everything up to the bigger office, which is in the city of Trier. And the guy here at our local office, he said, in 5 weeks, if we don't hear something, I will call the office in Trier and see what's going on. He said, but I don't think it's going to take 5 weeks. I think in a couple weeks, this will be done, and, you don't have to worry about anything. So, all right. So I felt pretty good about that. So we left, a week goes by, we don't hear anything. 2 weeks go by, we don't hear anything. 3 weeks go by, we don't hear anything. And I'm starting to wonder, I wonder what's going on. 4 weeks go by. We still don't hear anything. So we're like just a few days before that 5 week point. And so I sent an email to the guy. I said, hey, have you heard anything? What's going on? And later that day, he replied back to me and he said, hey, your residency cards are here. Everything's been approved. And so we made an appointment. So tomorrow we have an appointment to go, pay our money for our residency cards and pick them up. And so after we leave the office, I will, kind of make the rest of this video letting you know how that went. But right now I don't see why there would be any issues. We go and pay our money, pick up our cards, and it should be a done deal. Now, we've had a lot of questions, or not a lot, but we've had some questions on people asking us, sending us emails, asking us about the process, wanting to know, a little bit more about what we've done, wanting to know updates. And so, I can tell you what we have done, and we've done this twice, Betty and I. So it seems to be sometimes the situation seems to be a little bit different depending on where you're located at and maybe even the individual who's handling your specific case. For example, I've spoken to people who have said that they had to prove some sort of German proficiency via test results, saying that they were, whatever B1 level or, maybe B2 level. I'm not sure, whatever the case may be. Or they had to provide some sort of course certificate that they attended a German language course at the Volkshochschule. Now, we have never had to do that, and we've kind of gone through this process twice, once for a work visa in Leipzig, and now, just requesting a retirement visa here in Rhineland-Palatinate, and we've never had to provide any sort of documentation saying what our German proficiency level was. Now, we communicate with the office in German. We send emails in German, talk on the phone in German. When we go there to see them, we speak in German. But other than that, we've never had to provide any sort of documentation of any sort of test results of our language proficiency. We did have to write a motivations letter, basically stating why we wanted to live in Germany. And in that letter, that was this time, that was not for our work request. In that letter, we basically stated, how long we've lived in Germany, what we've done in Germany, our connection to Germany and things like that. And maybe that was sufficient. Something that someone's told me is that your individual caseworker who's handling your situation kind of determines if you need to provide proof of language proficiency or not. I guess if they are comfortable with your level of German proficiency, then they don't require you to provide anything. So maybe it's a case-by-case basis. I'm not really sure. Now, I would guess if you're coming to Germany for the first time from another country that does not speak German, then I would suppose that in that situation you probably would have to prove some sort of language proficiency. But since we've lived here on multiple occasions for several years, we were never required to do that. And that's just our personal situation. Your case might be different. So I don't want to give anyone, bad information. And you're going to say, man, that guy, Lee, told me I didn't have to provide language proficiency. Now they're telling me I got to provide a test. But we have not had to do that. Now, the other video we're going to do a second part on is healthcare. And we got a lot of comments on that video. And we're going to make another one to kind of go in depth. But just to tell you, right now, some experiences we've had. We've been to the doctor, a few times for in the last couple months for annual physicals, to get immunizations, things like that. Betty's been to the doctor quite a few times, and last week she had surgery in a German hospital, and she was in the hospital for 4 nights, I believe. And so everything's gone well. Her experience at the hospital was really good. No complaints there whatsoever. The staff was really good. The doctors were great. very competent, and yeah, we were have nothing but good things to say about our experience at the German hospital. The nurses were really helpful, really good, and I think she was treated very well. Stayed there for 4 nights, and she had a procedure that we watched a lot of videos about it. And in the United States, a lot of people, when they have this procedure, like they go home that same day, or maybe they spend one night in the hospital and go home the next day. And a lot of people we've seen really suffer, and they have a lot of difficult days after the operation. And I think a lot of that, for Betty, was avoided because she did stay in the hospital for 4 days, and so there was a lot of discomfort and things like that, but that she did not really have to deal with all that much because she was in the hospital and the nurses were looking after her. So, that was something we were very happy about as far as the German healthcare system goes. I felt like her care was really great. And from what I've seen, we've watched YouTube videos of people sharing their experience in the United States. Oftentimes, it's not as good in the United States as it is in Germany, simply because they go home immediately after surgery, and they have some difficult times. So, in that, I got to tell you, in that aspect, we have really been happy with our experience in the German hospital system over the last month, and especially last week when Betty had surgery and when she was in the hospital. All right, and talking about our residency request and the process we went through on that, I feel like I owe Germany the nation of Germany, a bit of an apology. I owe you an apology, because if you saw the video that we put out, it's probably been 4 months ago, I guess, maybe 5 months ago, I'm not exactly sure, but we put out a video about things that kind of annoy us about living in Germany. And one of those things that we talked about was the lack of modernization, I guess, how Germany still relies on everything has to be paper documents, everything has to be mailed through the post, through snail mail, and sometimes faxed. So I kind of complained about that and had some comments, but I have to say, on our residency request this time around, everything was emailed. We emailed every document, and we did not have to print one document out. So we emailed everything. Yeah, so we did not have to print any documents. We did not have to put anything in the mail. We sent everything via email. We scanned our documents and sent them via email to the Ausländerbehörde. And honestly, I got to say, when I did that, I was expecting them to get back with me and say, hey, you got to provide these documents. You got to mail them in. But no, they accepted everything electronically, which was fantastic. It made our lives a lot easier. Now, I will say this, that it didn't really make the process any faster. Previously, when we had to mail everything in, print everything out and mail it, versus, and like I said before, we mailed them in and you just you don't know where they're going. You never get like any feedback. You don't know if anyone has them. You don't really know what's going on. It's just like all of a sudden, a couple months later, they'll contact you and say, hey, come in and, sign your paperwork and pick up your documents. Well, this time it was nicer because, we emailed everything and I had a direct point of contact that I could reach out to and ask questions. So we kind of knew what was going on, but still it didn't. Matter of fact, I think it took longer because we had to get an extension of our tourist visa before the process actually came to an end. So it was nice that the fact that we did everything electronically via email, but in the end, it really didn't end up saving us any time. All right, guys, look at that handsome devil. There it is. Yep, so we went this morning, we picked up our Erlaubnis, our residency visas, residency permits, and very easy process. We had an appointment this morning, went into the office, and basically all we had to do, we had to pay our money, and they were 100 euros each for my and Betty's, and we paid our money and picked them up, and super easy. The whole thing took probably 5 minutes after we got to the office. Yeah, so our experience has been very easy. This time around, it took a while. Like I said, we started the process in November, and here it is the end of February. So, it took a little over 3 months. We had to get an extension on our tourist visa, but very easy. They were very receptive to our questions. We would email and ask for follow-up, and they would always get back with us during the same day. So it did take a while, but super easy. And like I said, we emailed all of our documents in. We didn't print anything out. And a couple things, I'd also like to point out our proof of insurance. So we have insurance through an American company that has an international program, and we've been using that here in Germany, and it's worked very well. But the proof of insurance was in English, and our proof of income was also in English, and we sent those in. We did not get those translated, and honestly, I kind of thought they might send them back to us and tell us we had to get them translated, but they did not. They accepted both of those in the English version. So there you go. Our proof of insurance and proof of income were both in English. So yeah, so everything's worked out well. Appreciate you guys watching. And if you have any questions, leave your question in the comment, and we'll try to get back to you and answer it as well as we can. We don't have all the information, but we'll let you, we'll share with you what we do know. So appreciate you watching. Hope you found this helpful. Hope you found it interesting. If you did, give us a thumbs up, consider subscribing to our channel, and join us next week, and we'll take you on another adventure. All right, so thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Tschüss.